Burnout doesn't always come from doing too much. Sometimes it comes from never letting yourself stop. If you're driven, passionate, and always pushing forward, then this video is definitely for you. Because fire energy doesn't burn out from effort, it burns out from lack of rest. So, in this video, I'll be talking about fire sign energy and the importance of rest in your wellness regimen. So, if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, welcome to day 19 of our 31-day wellness and astrology series. And today we're talking about burnout through the lens of fire sign energy. Now, I've already done a video on burnout generally, but this one is specific to fire sign energy because fire sign energy is always quote unquote on. You guys are driven, you guys are passionate, and at times you guys can be like the Energizer Bunny. And that's why rest is so very important. So the fire signs, which again are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and those who have fire dominant charts, are fueled by drive, passion, inspiration, momentum, and purpose, among other things. Fire energy thrives on action and enthusiasm. But without intentional rest, that same fuel becomes exhaustion. Burnout for fire energy isn't weakness, it's misaligned momentum. Now, momentum is great. And honestly, if I may say so myself, I think momentum is something that many people struggle with. We can have the best of ideas, but actually getting started, getting going, and keeping going, that is a thing, admittedly, right? And so being able to have momentum continuously is a wonderful thing. But again, we live in a dualistic realm where momentum is only good as the rest you are willing to take. I'm going to repeat that. Momentum is only as good as the rest you are willing to take. Just like an athlete needs the right amount of fuel via nutrition and rest, so do fire signs. Without rest, burnout, exhaustion, and even resentment are very possible, very probable, and very likely. So here's the real issue. Many people with strong fire energy are praised for being productive, being motivated, being resilient, being strong, always showing up. So what they do is they learn to ignore early signs of depletion. So burnout shows up as irritability, exhaustion masked as boredom, loss of passion, physical fatigue, emotional shutdown, and feeling disconnected from purpose. So fire energy doesn't fade quietly. It collapses when it's depleted. You know, resilience and strength are characteristics that as a society we value very much. The ability to keep going, the ability to hold up well under pressure, or even just hold up under pressure, are things that many people strive for. But again, strength is only as valuable as weakness. And it's not weak to rest. I never want to make that a thing or suggest that that is a thing. But you need both. And depletion is not fun. Like I said before, it leads to resentment. It leads to irritability. You may think, oh, I'm bored or I'm just not inspired. Meanwhile, you're exhausted, right? So again, rest is the most important thing for you. So let's get into some examples as to how fire signs experience burnout. So we begin with Aries energy. And just by way of a refresher, this information is really pertinent for people who have a lot of planets in fire signs, or you have a sun or rising sign that is a fire sign. Okay. So Aries energy. It burns out by overexertion, always moving, always starting, rarely stopping. So burnout for you shows up as frustration, impatience, and physical exhaustion. Aries is the sign of physical energy, right? That's why overexertion is your burnout. That's too hard of a workout, intense of a workout, or long of a workout. Too much going on that requires your physical strength or endurance or stamina. Without the proper fueling, eventually you'll literally just be running on fumes. So the remedy here for you is intentional pauses, which can be kind of difficult because Aries wants to go. Aries wants to push forward. Aries wants to do. And so you have to be intentional about rest and taking pauses and recovery between actions. Just like a star athlete needs downtime, they need time to stretch, to take ice baths, to, eat healthy at regular intervals of the day. You need to schedule recovery between action. Next, we have Leo energy. So Leo energy burns out by over giving. They'll show up for others. They're carrying lots of responsibility, and they are performing strength. So Leo is the performer of the zodiac, right? And not in a way, I don't mean that in a superficial way, but Leo does by performing, by doing, right? And Leo is ruled by the heart. So Leo is very warm, generous, and heart-centered. And so doing too much of that, especially over giving, is what leads to burnout for you. And speaking of which, burnout shows up as emotional exhaustion, loss of joy, and feeling unseen. Especially the loss of joy and feeling unseen. Those are very antithetical to Leo energy. Leo energy needs to be seen, and they need joy in their lives regularly, right? So the remedy here to avoid burnout for Leo is rest without performance and creative play just for you. The best way to refuel your battery is to engage in something joyful and creative that's for you and that is not for others. And finally, we arrive at Sagittarius energy. And so burnout for Sagittarius energy is by overextension. Too many ideas, too many goals, too much optimism. So Sagittarius is the big thinker. They are the people who are dreaming up new dreams, extending themselves, growing, being optimistic. But of course, too much of that, especially by way of overextending themselves, is definitely a thing when it comes to burnout. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter, sort of the shadow side of Jupiter, is over. It's excess. So even anything that a Sagittarius dominant person does that's not even necessarily related to Sagittarius energy, it's just like anything that they do, they could be prone to overdoing it, right? And again, that leads to burnout. And burnout shows up as restlessness, avoidance, and disconnection. Restlessness, not being able to direct all of this big, larger than life energy into something can lead to burnout or is a symptom of burnout, right? Also avoidance and disconnection. So the remedy here for burnout for Sagittarius energy is simplify, slow down, and recommit to what matters most. So you'll see a pattern here that fire signs do, and burnout shows up as doing the most. Whether as an Aries, you are over exercising, over exerting yourself, right? Or as a Leo, you're overperforming and over giving. Or a Sagittarius, you're overextending or just overdoing. Doing the most eventually leads to burnout, which is why rest is so damn important for you guys. I cannot stress this enough. So now let's briefly talk about what happens when fire doesn't rest. When fire energy resists rest, exhaustion becomes identity. And we all know people who are constantly wearing this badge of honor of being exhausted, as if running yourself ragged is a good thing, right? Burnout feels inevitable. That's also so demoralizing because you're like, I have to do all of this, and burnout is just a part of that. So I just have to accept that. Joy feels inaccessible. This is what makes life miserable. If you constantly have to be running on the hamster wheel, what joy can you find in that? When can you find time for joy? So joy becomes inaccessible. It becomes something you can never have, something you may even sort of be denying yourself. That's a very sad place to be. Purpose feels heavy because purpose to you means doing. And if you're already doing, it means doing more. And the body forces a stop. This is sort of the last resort. When too much has happened, the body is like, okay, we've got to shut down because we literally can't function anymore. And again, that's the last resort, and that's the last place that you want to be. Fire energy doesn't need to be extinguished. It's not this dichotomy between doing and not doing. When you look at it that way, that's when rest seems so against your nature. Well, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing that. No, it doesn't mean that you're extinguishing how you are designed. It just needs to be tended to. If you've ever gone camping and you've had to create a fire and keep it going, you got to keep feeding it wood, right? You got to move the coals around so that, especially if you're using it to cook, that it's even, right? It's an even sort of fire. You have to tend to your fire. And that's exactly what rest is. Rest doesn't kill momentum. It sustains it. I don't know about you, but if you remember as a kid, rest used to seem like something you really didn't want to do. I remember in kindergarten, when you would have nap time, and there would be times where you would be so hype, you were playing with some blocks or doing something with another kid or whatever, and nap time was the last thing that you wanted, right? But you were sort of forced to nap. And even when you were forced to nap, you were still chatting with your neighbor, your eyes were still open, you were counting the letters on the board. Rest seemed like something you didn't want to do. And when I look back, I'm like, oh, we should implement nap time in adult life too, because it's so necessary. Don't look at it as something that you have to force upon yourself. Think of it as the fuel that fuels your fire to do. There's nothing worse than running on fumes, right? When you're exhausted, but you feel like you have to keep performing, you have to keep going. You're in the mid, you're training for something and the workouts are grueling and you feel like you have to push through. Yes, there is that element of having to push through, but that doesn't mean you do it without rest. Because what do? You have to let your muscles recover. You have to eat well. You have to stretch. That can all be considered resting. Resting doesn't mean stopping, and stopping doesn't mean stopping forever. It's a matter of refueling. Because nobody wants to run on fumes, trust me. So now let's get into a quick wellness tip, today's wellness tip, which is balancing fire with rest. Okay, so this is for all of my fire dominant people out there who feel like they always have to be doing. This is a short and sweet little ritual to help you integrate rest into your wellness routine. So step number 1, notice where you're pushing out of habit and not desire. This is important because the fire signs are very much connected with passion and desire. And often your movement, your doing, is motivated by passion and desire. But where burnout creeps in is where you're doing things out of obligation, out of routine, out of habit, and not out of desire. And so you need to parcel out sort of your motivation for why you're doing all this doing. That's step number 1. Step number 2. Schedule rest before exhaustion hits. Don't wait until your body tells you you have to rest. The best thing here, and you should take a lesson from your earth sign dominant brethren, getting on a routine in order to structure your doing. And in doing so, scheduling rest is going to be vital to that routine. Step number 3, choose rest that feels nourishing and not restrictive. Think about that example I gave of kindergarten nap time. how you're forced to rest at a certain time. Remember, rest doesn't mean that you're completely taken out of the game. Rest could be just chilling. It could be a nap. It could be whatever refuels you, whatever allows you to reconnect to your desire, to your passion, to your joy. But that can also help refuel your physical stamina, your physical vital life force energy. Do that. Okay? Choose the best kind of rest for you. Step number 4, reconnect with joy, not productivity. Doing for the sake of doing and habit is something that we all get tired of after a while, right? So reconnecting with joy, doing something that makes you feel good, that makes you feel joyful, that makes you feel alive, that taps into your desire and your passion, that can also help refuel you. And that can also be considered rest. And then finally, step number 5, let rest refuel your passion instead of pausing it. It's all about how you reframe everything, right? Rest isn't, well, I got to stop. And if I stop, I can't do anymore. And don't resent rest. Think of it as, okay, if I rest now, then I'll have enough energy to 2x what I'm doing, or I'll have enough energy to go all day or to really power through this workout, right? It is fuel. So rest does not equal resentment, okay? That's your 5-step resting ritual, okay? And remember that fire heals through rhythm, not constant output. And I think that rhythm here can also be equated to routine in a way. Routine sounds a little too earth sign energy. So some of you may really shy away from that because that sounds too obligatory. It sounds too rigid. But rhythm, there's a rhythm to your rest. There's a rhythm to your doing, right? You work out in the morning, you rest in the afternoon, you have a wonderful, nutritious dinner in the evening, right? That is a rhythm. Get into a rhythm that includes rest, and it'll get you on the right track to doing more and feeling more like yourself. So I wanted to retouch the issue of resenting rest, okay? For fire-dominant people, sometimes rest can feel like failure. If you're not doing, you don't feel like yourself. And if you don't feel like yourself, often you can feel like you failed. But rest isn't quitting. It's not failure. It's recalibration. Again, it's all about how you reframe the concept of rest in your mind. When fire is rested, it burns brighter, with clarity, purpose, and joy. So in order for you to be the best you and to do the things that only you can do, you need rest. Because doing in a state of exhaustion, doing when you're running on fumes, it doesn't produce the brightest work. It's sure you're lit, but you're dimly lit. The best way for you to be is to shine brightly, and rest allows you to do that. Remember, you have permission to rest. You're allowed to slow down without losing who you are. Rest is not a failure. You're still you. Rest just makes you better. All right, my loves. So that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on fire sign energy, burnout, and rest. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use and implement in your wellness routine, whether you are fire dominant or not. If you're interested in signing up for the blueprint, which is my signature natal chart experience, the link to that is in the description box below. Don't forget to take the self-care signature quiz. Fun little quiz that helps you understand your self-care signature. The link to that is also in the description box below. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.